Hello YouTube, today I'd like to show you an insect pile deck profile featuring the new cards from Raged Abyss in these Battle Wasp cards. It's been really good support for the deck, and I intend to show this with some different combos that I've been coming up with that can really utilise the full potential of these really crazy new support cards. I used this last weekend to get tied first place at the Bonanza event against different meta decks, so I think this is definitely a good cheap alternatives format if you're not willing to pay out for Fiendsmith or Azamina deck cores. And it's a really fun deck to boot as well if you learn all the combos. So getting right into it. For our main deck, we have 3 Battle Wasp Rapier the Onslaught. Probably the craziest starter in the deck, so of course we max out on it. 3 Sting the Poison, another way to get to this guy. So we max out on that. 3 Twin Bow, I think this is also worth maxing out on because if you draw it with Battle Wasp Wind, you can definitely start off your plays that way. So it's an alternative starter and a really good extender in certain spots. The level 3 is also really good for making Cicada King, which is one of our key end board pieces. And lastly, for the Battle Wasp part, we have Pin the Bullseye, another really good extender, and Arbalest the Rapid Fire. So this package basically gives us 5 different insect bodies when we do our combo using this part of the deck, which is really good link material or synchro material. For the rest of our insects monsters, we have 3 Retaliating C. It's really great that this deck can play this in main in this format against decks like Azamina, Chimera and Branded, because of course it shuts down their turn, but it's also a starter. So one of the combos that we'll go over uses this and any of the extenders to basically make a pretty good combo. So it's worth maxing out on because it's engine as well as a really impactful hand trap. And I opted for playing the Krawler package. So this is 3 Krawler Soma and a Krawler Spine or Dendrite. So you can play any 2 other Crawlers, which are kind of the bricks in the deck. But I think what this offers is really incredible. So you can, Krawler Soma is a 1.5 card starter. If you're anything that can normal summon, including hand traps, you can just normal summon that, use Soma, and then go off on your own combo, utilising different parts of the insect deck. And so I think it's worth playing the 2 bricks. You can even discard this for certain effects like this guy, and still resolve Krawler Soma to summon it back. So I think it's worth playing. We have some extenders as well. I opted for B Trooper Scale Bomber as our extender of choice because it's a level 3. So it's really good for our Cicada King making that. And we can summon this off of our Invincible Atlas Link Monster. And it's got a pretty nice utility effect where you can tribute an insect to pop an opponent's monster, similar to Ghost Ogre when they activate an effect. And yeah, so summons from hand, so overall very good extender. And we have some one-offs. So we have Resonance Insects. Lots of deck profiles you'll see use multiple lists, but I think that we're all kind of, we don't want to run too many normal summons because of risk of bricking. And the combos that I've been experimenting with really just require one of this because we can use Retaliating C as our other insect searcher because we're, so Retaliating C is actually a better starter in this kind of version of the deck. So we rather have this as hand trap utility, use this as utility that we can equip off Pico Felina, which is one of my link monsters. And really, even though this isn't hard once per turn on anything, I think it's really just worth minimizing on bricks. And so like there's not too many searches we need. We have Supply Soldier, the Indestructible Insects. This is our TCG exclusive support, which makes it this markedly more better than the OCG insect list you'll see, because this guy enables you to make the fusion that lets you banish on the opponent's board, and that sets you up your Battle Wasp field nuke effect, which you can do whenever you like now on the opponent's turn. We have Begram, the Shelled Emperor Forest Crown. This is a really nice extension piece, which we can use to recur from graveyard. It's our dump, normally off Resonance Insects, other effects. And so it's a really good extension, even if you draw it in hand. It's also a board clear, but I normally side it out going second, honestly. But yeah, it's a really nice utility piece and recursion for next turn as well, because it can summon itself from graveyard. And the last insect in the main is Gokipole. This guy is incredibly important because, of course, level 3 again. we can dump it off a send effect like the Atlantis, Resonance Insect, and get any of our level 4 insects that we might require. And so you'll see that this comes up in multiple different combos. And we even have a way to set this up so that we can search for Retaliating C. And we can utilize this on the opponent's turn to search Retaliating C. So really, it's such an important piece. Just a one of though, as for that. And so we have quite a large insect lineup here. But of course, we need an insect at hand to utilize with this guy to go full combo. For our spells, we have Armed Rebellion, maxed out at 3. Of course, because we want to maximize on starters. This is similar to this opening with any of our other wasp starters, and let's just go full combo. We can summon Resonance Insect with this, and then send it to get our Rapier the Onslaught search. We play 2 Battle Wasp Wind. It's not the worst to open, but it's definitely kind of a brick unless you have a Battle Wasp to use with it. But it's a necessary engine piece. And then we have Instant Fusion, which will exclusively just summon the B-Trooper link, B-Trooper Fusion, Krawler Soma, which is a really good extender, basically 2 bodies for free. So of course Instant Fusion is definitely worth playing because it can search a Scale Bomber. And we have opted, instead of a hand trap approach, more of a board breaker approach. So we've got 3 triple tactics thrust. This can, as well as searching our non-engine going second, we can search our Armed Rebellion or Instant Fusion to extend our plays going into a board. Or we can definitely set up like a trap, like an imperm or anything inside. We have 2 talents because this is the kind of deck where you get interrupted once, not a big deal. And then you can use talents to definitely rip another hand trap out of the opponent's hand, or draw 2 if you need help extending your plays. We have 1 Call by the Grave because it's really good as a format. Just really good against most of the meta decks, like Phantom U-Bell, Hieratic Seals, Promethean Princess, anything like that. Or the Azamina Fusion, the Silvera. So it definitely is like a staple card this format. And last we have the traps. So we have 3 Imperm, of course, because we don't want to fall into talents. So we're not playing hand traps, but we can definitely play this one because it doesn't play into talents. And we have our Ragnar Riker Hunting Dance because we play the Link Ragnar Riker that can set this up. And it's another really good interruption on the opponent's turn. And let's just set up our Banished, which is really important for insects. Moving on to extra deck. It's really important. We have our Cicada King. This is actually 3 interruptions in 1, as you'll see in the combo part of the video. And so it's really our most impactful end-board piece because we get 2 negates with it and set up a Retaliating C search on the opponent's turn. 2 for links, we have 2 Armor Horn. The second one's kind of a flex spot, but I think that out of any of the ones that will come up twice, Armor Horn is really necessary. It enables our extra normal summon and its recursion from the grave. In these combos, I try not to use the summon back effect of Armor Horn because this deck's quite susceptible to nib. And so if we get nibbed, I like to save this in graveyard so we can summon it back and then make a link free and then somewhat make an end board from there. But really, I think so nib is not really that impactful when you keep this guy in reserve. 1 Pika Felina, I think 1's all you need really. It's really incredible utility. You can equip an insect from deck, which is normally going to be Retaliating C or Resonance Insect, and you get so that discards a card, but then you also get the card back by drawing a card with its other effects. 1 Mantis Monk, this is incredibly important because we can banish our insects from grave that would proc off being banished, like our Grand Partisan Synchro, our Resonance Insect, and really enables our plays as well as setting up a really good trap card in our Hunting Dance to pop an opponent's card. We have some link frees. We have Seraphim Papillon. We don't really make this in the mainline combo, but it's definitely a good backup option if we get nibbed or in the grind game. It summons back an insect from grave, which can be our Sting the Poison, which is a negate, and really gets our Battle Wasp engine set up again. So really good grind game card. This doesn't come up too much, but we have a Traptrix Atipus, which is good for going into a board and negating stuff. There's normally better options, so it hasn't come up so far, but it's nice that it's immune to trap cards as well. We have a link 4, Invincible Atlas. This is a key end-board piece because it can't be destroyed by card effects. We contribute any of our monsters to summon the Scale Bomber from deck, and that helps us set up the Cicada King. And it's a link, and so that means that we keep our Hunting Ants Ragnarok card alive by keeping it on the end board. And we have our Stag Sovereign, link 5. Its interruption isn't the greatest, but if you want to, if your combo kind of goes off the rails and you've got enough bodies for a link 5, then you can definitely make it. And for synchros, we have our Grand Partisan, Revolution. Really cool that in the TCG there wasn't a way to banish an insect on the opponent's turn to trigger this guy's effect to board nuke. But in the TCG we do with the Indestructible Insect engine. And we have our key synchro monster. This is normally the first thing you make all the time, Sachi. This will allow us to get our 5 bodies and gives us an extra normal summon of the Battle Wasp stuff to really combo to its fullest potential. Diabolantis is really key. We make this with our Sting the Poison and Sachi. And this allows us to dump another insect and extend as we climb up into this guy. And for our fusions, we have a Heavy Cavalry. This is paired with Partisan to board nuke the opponent. Non-targeting destruction, so it's a really good interruption. A Krawler Soma. This is pretty much here only for instant fusion, but it gives us 2 bodies and potentially 3 if we can trigger its second effect by banishing a B-Trooper from the graveyard. And yeah, and we have finally what I opted in for, which not many other decks play. It's this guy, Ultimate Great Insect. It's got very niche utility. I like it just for a body that you can summon by sending the monster equipped with, if you have a big body equipped from Pica Felina, you equip a Scale Bomber or a Soma with something like a Resonance Insect, and you can easily just send it to grave to summon the Ultimate Great Insect. And it's got some niche anti-Tempai effects. So it says that there's a field spell on the field. During the battle phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field, non-targeting. So it's really nice if you know you're against Tempai, you can set this guy up. And he can't be destroyed by battle, I believe, as well. Yeah, so if you know you're against Tempai, you can set this guy up. Just another really cool insect tool. There are some flex spots in the extra deck, but it's kind of like the same 13 that are required. Moving on to side deck, we opted for one of Humongous. This is, of course, for like Outing Towers. It's very searchable off Resonance Insect. And so I think it's worth playing aside. It didn't come up too much for the event I went to. We have 2 Pancratops. I think this is a really nice idea, this format, because we can definitely utilize battle phase to out different floodgates and anything else. It's just really nice utility going second against whatever deck you like. It can attack over something and then pop something in the battle phase and really bait out the interruption. So we also have 3 Dogwood. Also to mention is that we're locked into insects most of the time, but it's only for the rest of the turn afterwards. So if we lead with this, then it's not an issue when we're going second. 3 Dogwood, of course, like depends on like what kind of decks you're up against, I suppose. But often if you're going to time or your long insect combos, then you want this just in case. Or if your opponent's comboing and taking their time, you might want it. 3 Dark Ruler No More, which is nice paired with Thrust against certain decks. I didn't think it was worth a spot in main, but like definitely side. 3 Cosmic, which is really nice for outing floodgates, of course. It's got some really impactful interruptions against some decks like Centurion. So yeah, I think it's a side deck slot. And then we have some toolbox Thrust targets, which are Dimensional Barrier and DDG. So the Thrust package is really impactful in this format, partly because you can set up this if you get Mulcharmied, which this deck's quite susceptible to, and then be able to stop the opponent's turn, so we get another turn afterwards. Final card is Rivalry. Of course, because we're playing pure insects, this can be really nice against Snake Eyes, Azamina, different decks that use different types. And yeah, so like I think this is a pretty solid lineup that I've been trying out, and of course it paid off at this event that I went to. And we'll get into the combo guide now. So for the first combo I'd like to show off, it's going to be Rapier the Onslaught plus any insect. Here I've just got Scale Bomber as representing any random insect. This kind of represents one of the key factors in this deck, why it's really good, is that its consistency is really high because there's lots of 1.5 card starters. This same combo can be performed if you have Sting the Poison or Armed Rebellion in place of this, and so you can do very similar lines with that. But this is really nice to start off with, so we'll go Rapier the Onslaught effect. Of course, our first move is to discard Scale Bomber. This will summon Onslaught and place a Battle Wasp Wind from our deck face up. If you're familiar with Black Wings, this plays very similarly as Simoon the Poison, because we get to use Wind to add something with less attack than our Onslaught here, and so that will be our Pin the Bullseye. We then use Pin the Bullseye to summon itself, and we can use Battle Wasp Wind's other effect to make one of these a tuner. Doesn't matter too much, but we'll make Pin a tuner. Also remember to burn your opponent for 200 using Pin's other effect. We can synchro these two into our Sachi. This will trigger Battle Wasp Wind for the second time. This can, each copy can be used twice per turn to search, but we're going to reactivate it so we can use it a total of 4 times. So we won't use Sachi's effect to make it a tuner, we'll only use Wind. We'll search Sting the Poison. And importantly here, we need to use Sachi's other effects, adding Wind back to hand for cost, and this will enable us to get an extra normal summon. Even if they have something like an Imperm, this deck can play really well through it, because we can add back the Wind, we still have a regular normal summon to play Sting here. And so, yeah, I was playing through Imperms all day at the event I went to with this. We reactivate Wind, which we can only do once per turn. We normal summon Sting, and we get to go Chain Link 1 Sting, add any Battle Wasp, Chain Link 2 Wind, add one with less attack. And so we end up getting our second Pin the Bullseye, which will be important later in the combo. And we get our Arbalest to Rapid Fire off of Sting's effect. From here, we can start synchro climbing. We don't want to commit too much to the board straight away because in case of nib, so we rather get our resources set up, use the Atlantis. Yes, not commit too much, and start with the Atlantis to send our Goki Pole to grave. This will enable Goki Pole to give us a search for our Resonance Insect. And from here, what we can do is use our regular normal summon, summon Rapid Fire. Arbalest to Rapid Fire, we'll go Chain Link 1. Chain Link 2 Wind will get us our final search for Twin Bow, the attacker. And Arbalest will send back our Goki Pole. The fact it's Goki Pole is quite important, so keep that in mind for this particular line. It will be really impactful because we can use this to search our Retaliating C later on. From here, we can use the Atlantis to make this a tuner, and synchro climb for the last time into our Grand Partisan. From here, we can use Twin Bow, summon itself for free, and go ahead and synchro off these two to make our Armor Horn right here. Armor Horn will have an extra normal summon, which we'll then use to summon our Resonance Insect. And we want to keep the Goki Pole here. So what we're going to do is synchro off these two into, link off into Mantis Monk right here. This will trigger our Resonance Insect at any level 5 or higher insect, which will be our Krawler Soma. And from here, we can go ahead and use the Mantis Monk, banishing our 2 ideal targets for this, which is Grand Partisan and Resonance Insect, to add our Hunting Dance Trap. After this, we'll get a couple of chains. We'll get the Grand Partisan, summon itself back to our field. resonance insect. We'll activate to send another insect to our grave. This will be our Vagrant, which will come up later in the combo. Here we can use Krawler Soma, set one of our monsters face down, which will be our partisan here, to summon itself, and use Krawler Soma here to summon out 2 bodies by reducing it to a level 2. From here we can link off these 2 into our Pico Felina. Pico Felina has a really incredible effect. It can equip any insect to one of our monsters, so we'll equip our Soma by discarding a card. I don't have a card here to discard, but you're going to draw 1 later on, so it kind of goes net 0. We're going to go ahead and equip our Retaliating C. And this will enable us to send both to grave to summon out our ultimate great insect. This will trigger our Retaliating C, adding us our guy that enables fusion summons, Supply Soldier. And from here we can use our Pico Felina other effects, putting back 3 insects. Here I like to use this opportunity to put back our Battle Wasp engine, so that we can then use it next turn, especially Optimised, because that will give us graveyard recursion for follow-up. Put this back and we get to draw a card, but since we discarded 1 earlier, we go net 0. From here, this will trigger our Supply Soldier, chain to our Pico Felina effect to draw 1, to summon itself, and we can use its effect fusion summon, making use of our ultimate great insect body here, and the pin the bullseye always saved in hand. You can save the ultimate great insect again against Tempai if you like, and put it in defense mode. That will summon our heavy cavalry. From here, we can go ahead and link up these 2 into our Invincible Atlas, and use Invincible Atlas to tribute this guy, summon out our Scale Bomber from deck. And now we have our 2 frees that we require to make our Cicada King. Final step is that we have our Bear Grim we were saving the whole time in the grave. Banish 3 insects which aren't too relevant, such as these 3. And we can summon Bear Grim. This is actually another piece to our board, because once we set the Hunting Dance and pass to our opponent, Bear Grim will stop our opponent from responding to our spells or traps, which means that Hunting Dance can pop us a card in the field without our opponents being able to respond, which is more impactful than it sounds, because our opponent can't quick effect dodge the destruction with any of their effects, like Droplet or what have you. So to break down the board here that we're passing with, this was off a 1.5 card combo. We have our Hunting Dance interruption, which can't be responded to because of Bear Grim. We have our setup with Heavy Cavalry. It's unusual that our partisan is face down right now, but it's just as good with Heavy Cavalry because it can banish any of the insects on the board and the face down to destroy up to 4 cards, because we have 4 banished insects when the Grand Partisan comes back to the field. We have our Invincible Atlas, which is immune to targeting and destruction effects, so our Hunting Dance will be live. And the most impactful piece of the end board is the Cicada King, because this will play out as opponent summons a monster that activates the effect on the field, like a Diabell Star, Alaba, whatever you like. Goki Pole will be detached to negate the effect using Cicada King's effect. Cicada King will be changing itself to attack mode. We'll get Chain Link 1 Cicada King, targeting our Sting the Poison in the grave. Put it back here, but it should be in grave. Make sure to keep Sting the Poison in grave. And our Goki Pole will get us a search for a level 4 insect. That will be our Retaliating C. So we can use Goki Pole on our turn and the opponent's turn to set up a Retaliating C play as a really impactful hand trap. Our monster zones are plugged up right now, but Sting the Poison gets us to search for a follow-up Battle Wasp, Arbalest, and we'll be able to tribute an insect such as our Cicada King to negate another effect. And that will free up the zones for Retaliating C to be used in the opponent's turn. So Cicada King enables 2 monster effect negates from Sting the Poison, Sunback, and Cicada King, and as well as a Retaliating C setup, which is normally enough to win the game on the spot against the right deck. I definitely structure this differently if you're against Tenpai and you know that you're against Tenpai. I put the Grand Partisan face up, because then you can make sure that your destruction protection really plays out, because we have Invincible Atlas, Grand Partisan, and Heavy Cavalry, which are immune to destruction effects whilst they're face up. And so yeah, your Hunting Nuts will be live all the time, and then your Board Nuke combo will be set up all the time as well, even if you get Rogeki'd. For our next combo, we're going to be showing off the power of Krawler Soma to enable our Battle Wasp combos. So here we have a Krawler Soma, any monster that can be normal summoned. I'm just using Scale Bomber here as an example, but if you're running hand traps, you can even use hand traps. And we have a random card that's discarded, but we're going to recur the card anyway off Pika Felina. So of course we're going to start with Scale Bomber, normal summon, use Soma to flip it face down to summon Soma, and we'll use Soma to summon out 2 crawlers from deck. From here, we're going to go ahead and use the 2 other crawler bodies to summon Insecta Pika Felina, and use the effect, discarding our additional card, to go ahead and equip our Soma with Resonance Insect. And we can make use of our Ultimate Great Insect in the extra deck really well here. So we'll send this to summon our Ultimate Great Insect, and that will trigger our Resonance Insect to go ahead and add our Rapier, the Onslaught. Now we can go ahead and make use of Pika Felina. Because we use Ultimate Great Insect here, we get to shuffle back our 3 other insects, making sure we keep Resonance Insect in grave. Really important to go ahead and shuffle these back and draw a card. So we're making back the card we discarded right away. From here, we can use Pika Felina and Ultimate Great Insect to link up into our Mantis Monk. And we can use Mantis Monk, banishing 2 insects, making sure we include the Resonance Insect to add our Hunting Dance Trap from our deck to a hand. This will trigger our Resonance Insect, sending an insect from deck to grave, which will be our Goki Pole. Goki Pole will add any level 4 insects. We'll just add a Retaliating C. And now we have our Battle Wasp combo set up, because we have an insect to discard and our Rapier the Onslaught. So we'll go ahead and use that. So we'll discard our Retaliating C, summoning the Battle Wasp Rapier, and placing Battle Wasp Wind from the deck. This will trigger Wind, adding our Pin the Bullseye, just like the last combo. We're going to climb up with our Battle Wasp cards. Summon Pin, use the effect to burn for 200, so we win in time, if it comes down to it. Synchro into Sachi after making 1 Attuner with Wind, and we'll go ahead and use Wind to add our second search, which will be Sting the Poison. Sachi, add back the Wind, get an extra normal summon for Battle Wasp, and activate Wind again. Use our additional normal summon for Sting. We'll go ahead and 1-2, add off Sting, add off Wind, our pin, second pin, and Sting the Poison will grab us our Arbalest, the Rapid Fire. From here, what I like to do is synchro off these 2. Go ahead and make your Diabolantis. That will send from deck to grave our Beargrim, Shelled Emperor. And now we have a nice setup because we can summon back Beargrim, banishing 3 insects that aren't too relevant, which will include these 3. and we can go ahead and link Bear Grim and Atlantis into our Armor Horn, and Armor Horn will give us our last additional normal summon, which we'll use right away to summon our Arbalest Rapid Fire. And just like last time, we're going to summon back the Goki Pole from grave off Arbalest and really make the most of our Goki Pole utility. From here we have a few different options. What I like to do is link off these two into our Invincible Atlas, and we want to try and get to our 2 level 3s on board, so we can actually use our face down monster as tribute fodder for our Invincible Atlas, which is another great way to make use of our cards. Tribute that and go ahead and summon our Scale Bomber. Also, a step I missed out is that when we summon Arbalest, we can add our Twin Bow, the attacker, to hand off Wind as our final search, and from here we can overlay these two into our Cicada King, summon our Twin Bow by its effect, and we can actually spin back the Twin Bow to the bottom of the deck to summon from grave our Ragnarok Mantis Monk. Our last step here is linking off these two into our Stag Sovereign boss monster, and go ahead and set the Hunting Dance face down, and from here we can pass turn. It's a bit of a different end board from our last combo, so we couldn't get to the Grand Partisan and Heavy Cavalry combo, but we end up on something different, which is our Stag Sovereign, which is going to pop 2 monsters on field when something's summoned from extra deck. We have our normal Cicada King interrupt, where if our opponent activates monster effect on field, we get to detach the Goki Pole, summon back the Sting the Poison, which we have set up in grave still, getting us follow up and adding Retaliating C by detaching Goki Pole. And last we have our Hunting Dance interrupt by making use of our link monsters to pop our opponent's card whenever we like. So for our third and final combo, we're going to be seeing what we can do with just a Retaliating C and an Insect Extender to enable our combo. It won't be as impressive as board as some of the other combos, but I think it's really impressive that this deck can still put up something with just Retaliating C and an Extender. So definitely makes Retaliating C a good free of just for this kind of reason. So we're going to start with our normal summon Retaliating C. This will enable our Insect Extender, like Scale Bomber, to summon itself. And of course from here we're going to link off these two into our Armor Horn. This will trigger our Retaliating C to go ahead and add our Resonance Insect from deck to hand. We use the additional normal summon of Armor Horn, summon the Resonance Insect, and we're going to link these off into our Mantis Monk. This will trigger our Resonance Insect, allowing us to add our Battle Wasp, half of the engine. So Rapier the Onslaught will come to hand, and we can then, just like the last combo, enable our Rapier by banishing 2 off Mantis Monk's effect. We'll go ahead and banish these 2. Resonance Insect can trigger after this, so adding Hunting Dance, we can use Resonance Insect, sending Goki Pole, and Goki Pole will add us a level 4 Insect, which will be another copy of Retaliating C. From here, we'll go ahead and use Rapier effect to discard the Retaliating C, go ahead and summon the Rapier, and place Battle Wasp Wind. Wind effect will trigger to add to hands Pin the Bullseye, and we can summon Pin the Bullseye by its effect, using it to burn for 200, make it a tuner with Wind, and we can synchro up into our Sachi. Sachi will not use the effect on the field, we'll use Wind to add our Sting the Poison. So we're not making this a tuner, but we're going to add back Wind by its second effect, and Wind will be able to place itself again. We use our additional normal summon off Sting, summon it, and we get 1 and 2. We will get a twin bow this time, because we've used all our normal summons, we can't use Arbalest for this combo. And we will get something with less attack, like Pin the Bullseye. From here, we can sync her up into our Diablantis, use the effect to send an insect, which will be our Beargrim. And we can go ahead and use Beargrim here, summoning itself by banishing 3 insects, which will be Retaliating C, Scale Bomber, and just this. We can then link up into our Invincible Atlas. Use Invincible Atlas to tribute the Beargrim here to summon a Scale Bomber. We'll go ahead and special summon our Twin Bow. Use the effect to win for the final time to get our Sting the Poison as follow-up. And from here, we still have our rank 3 play. So we can go ahead and make these 2 into a Cicada King and set our Hunting Dance. And from here, it's kind of half the board as some of the other combos, but it's still got the most impactful interruptions because we've got the Hunting Dance enabled by the Invincible Atlas. We have Cicada King, which can detach, not Goki Pole, unfortunately, but we can attach something to negate an effect, change to attack, and then we also have our Sting the Poison set up in Grave to summon itself back and get even more follow-up from the search effect, and get another negate by tributing another insect. So yeah, that's it for the combo part of the video. I hope you enjoyed and you'll be able to try out insects at your locals. This is a really cheap deck, probably you can get it for £20 or less. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to learn all the different combos and the niche interactions in different games. Not a lot of people know how to play against this deck, so that's another reason why it's really good to play, because you'll often find that the opponents are making mistakes when playing into this deck, but you can really learn to adapt to the different meta decks and find out different ways to beat them. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next video.